general theme is how does it feel to be a hypocrite?
Right. Well, he sounds like a royal dirtbag.
I was wrong about something.
Magnificent! Magnificent! Magnificent!
If we can be with ourselves, if we can understand ourselves, we can love.
It's not my fault nobody can understand what you're saying.
Let's go while we're young.
3, 2, 1. Yeah, just introduce yourself and tell me what you ate for breakfast.
Let's see, that would hopefully take care of that. There I am. Hopefully you can hear me and see me now as well. But good morning, Tuesday morning. We are going to talk about basically two things on this whataboutisms this morning. We're going to talk about basically they're used as to gain rhetorical advantages in debates. And then the second part, number 5, would be to use whataboutisms to appeal to tribalism or group loyalty. And I'm going to try to keep this in the 7 minutes. So I was just working on condensing my notes because I want to get to 6 and 7 to finalize it tomorrow. So let's get into it. If you're new here, Shiny Brand, hashtag Shiny Brand in the comments, and that puts you in the spinny wheel of the internet to basically this program puts it into like just a wheel that spins, and then you possibly can win a prize. So converting or half converting a spare bedroom into the shipping department for Shiny Brand, and so that's almost finished, and we're going to be shipping Monday through Friday here probably next week. So that's pretty exciting that we're moving into that next step. But so if you're the winner, make sure that you email shinybrandgifts@gmail.com with your t-shirt choice and size. So here we go. So whataboutisms is used as kind of an emotionally charged way to gain rhetorical advantage in debates, right? So it basically puts your opponent on the defensive when somebody uses that. Now, again, I've talked a lot about intent and what the intent is, and my intent is always to find out in conversation, what's the standard, right? What are we measuring things by? Are we measuring it by standards that are equal across human beings, or are we measuring them by standards according to your will and desire at the moment? And that's what's very, very important about the whataboutism kind of category that we're talking about. Now, I've searched and read and researched and thought about this for months. And I do believe that whataboutisms, as people like to call them, is something that's extremely important to establishing kind of that standard first, and then being able to say, okay, we asked the questions, we've established the standard, so now we can move on to what we need to do to figure out what the best path forward is for, whether it be for relationships, marriages, friendships, whether it be for our discussing things with our political kind of other side, right? Like we like to call them political adversaries, but they're our neighbors. So that's the intent that I have here as we discuss this and as I research this. That's what's on my brain, is to learn and grow here for the Morning Hair Show. So getting back into it, whataboutism, it just to gain this rhetorical advantage in debates is just something that is used extremely often to essentially exploit the audience's short attention span. We have such short attention spans. What that also does is it tries to get the audience into kind of an emotional reactiveness, I guess, is what you could kind of sum it up as. It's kind of redirecting the focus to a new issue rather than the original point that is going on, and to gain that kind of rhetorical question. Again, rhetorical meaning not to want a question answered, but rhetorical in the sense of it's a thought-provoking statement, essentially. So one of the things that I see over and over again is, and let's take this past election. We had candidates in this national election that, it seemed everyone is full of scandals, right? And so we're trying to figure out whose scandal is real and whose is full of hyperbole and all those other things. And so people were using these things to gain that rhetorical advantage by asking, well, what about the other candidate? Like, well, what about Trump, or what about Harris, or whatever else that was happening? And so basically a rhetorical strategy is stirring the emotional reactions in people. And that's the intent of a lot of these whataboutisms, is to really stir that up. But understand that if we overuse them to deflect or to emotionally charge things, it actually weakens our trust. It appears that we're trying to be evasive and not addressing the current question at hand. So, when you're asking these questions, make sure that your intent is in line. That's kind of my point of it. So number 5 on my list here is to appeal. These are used to appeal to tribalism or group loyalty, as you can call it. We hear a lot of tribalism term right now, for years, really. And it's kind of a polarizing time. And in fact, in my lifetime, the past solid 15 years, it's just really, this polarization has just gone crazy in the last 15 years. It's disturbing to me. Neighbors and families fighting for weird things, not sitting down and understanding. I saw an interview, actually. Let me inject this in here. I saw an interview the other day, and there was a father and a son, and excuse me, the father was probably, I would guess him is easily mid 60s, and his son was a conservative politically, and he was a liberal politically, as they labeled themselves. And so there was a question asked, well, how does, and I'll generalize this, well, why is your son a conservative? And the father said, I don't know, ask him. And that's the meaning behind this tribalism and group loyalty that I'm saying is like, well, why didn't the father know? Why didn't the father have that conversation where it was an open dialogue and where they could ask questions? They were so focused on, their tribalism and their group loyalty that he wouldn't even communicate with his son enough to understand why he was conservative politically. So that's what it does, is it really, it rallies supporters for framing criticism and unfair bias. It reinforces the us versus them dynamics, because they're not sitting down and having these two-way conversations, this dialogue. And so what that does is this group loyalty or tribalism, it forces people into groups, right? Where in these groups, people defend their group. Doesn't matter what it is, a political party, a religious thing, a nation, or whatever, by simply pointing out the flaws in the outside group from where they're sitting, right? So if you criticize, if you're a liberal and you criticize Trump, but then someone asks you, well, what about your side's corruption, or criticize them for something of the same nature? And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to just strengthen that group tribalism to by redirecting the blame. And that's what a lot of that whataboutisms are used for, is redirecting blame rather than setting a standard for excuse me, for humans, right? And that's the idea of it. If you use a whataboutism to divide versus using a whataboutism to open up dialogue and establish a standard, is very different things. And so basically what that does is when you're using it to appeal to that tribe or to that group loyalty, it aligns with what's called a persuasive technique. And that basically builds, a lot of people would say, solidarity in that in group, in your own group. And so they're using that to just make their group more cohesive and be kind of on the bandwagon, I suppose you could say, and things too. And that basically implies that there's collective agreement. It's group think, group loyalty, tribalism. And so rather than asking questions, they're trying to basically have collective agreement. So use whataboutisms for good intent, for setting a standard, for understanding each other, rather than just, establishing a tribe or a group loyalty thing. So that's 4 and 5 today, 6 and 7 tomorrow, Wednesday morning. Let's roll into this giveaway and see what the wheel spinning says. Congratulations, Amy. Thanks for being here again this morning. So if you're here to learn and grow, that's what I really wanted this morning show to be. And so that's what I'm trying to do. It's not about anything other than that. It's about asking questions with the intent to learn more about each other, to learn more about different things as we are doing life together. And life is challenging, isn't it? So rather than trying to find the things that divide us, let us, you and I, find the things that are similar. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
You know what I just saw?
Who is this guy?
I call myself Podcast because of my podcast.
I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear.
So it's done.
It's done.